Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I am joined by my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman. We also have our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham, and intern Erica is on the dials. And also because all of us are on the phone, just like our last podcast, because we are all in lockdown. That is the nature of the world these days. We have manager Ash, who's on the line, just listening in. Guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. Weird, but good.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, for me, I'm finding it like if there was ever a pandemic tailor-made for me, this one would be it. Just because I'm finding it very easy and comfortable, and I guess maybe it shows how bad the commute was before. Because I actually prefer this way of living, as odd as that sounds. I'm enjoying this. So I have like almost a guilt because I know there's other people having it much tougher time than me. So for them, I feel sympathy. But for me, I'm enjoying the benefits of this.
Yeah, I feel like we're all learning a little bit about ourselves during this period of time, for sure.
Yeah, it's like some people maybe thought they were an introvert and now they think, oh, maybe I was an extroverted person. But for me, it just confirms what I've always known is that this is like I am a true introvert.
Mike, I haven't heard from you at all, it feels like, in the message boards on our Champagne Boys group, and just in general. What have you been doing?
Yeah, we did a Champagne Boys, like everybody got together on House Party or something on Friday night to like say what's up. I joined everybody there, but weirdly,
I didn't know that.
Well, that was Alex's. That was Alex's birthday, so I would have been there, but I was celebrating with Alex, and it was funny because Alex, she said, "Shane, this is the best birthday I've ever had," and it's just funny because last year I literally spent over $1,000 to make her have the best birthday, and she still said she prefers this one.
Yeah. No, I've been, it's interesting. Like I was saying, like we're all hunkered down here and, it's like we're downtown Toronto. It's a lot different. Like a lot of you guys are back at like your houses and stuff like that. I mean, I know Ash and Erica are in the same situation as me, but like we have a family. And so it's like, it's like I feel like if we had, we're at our house in Hamilton or something like that, and like Winona could run around in a backyard, I feel like things would be sort of just a little bit sort of like I don't know what the word is, not easy, because I think these times are very sort of like fraught with like high stress. Like I find that I'm very much like I have to take a break from the news because it's kind of driving me insane in some ways. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, I'm just like, in general, like, I think I'm a very good, like go with the flow sort of person when life is going normal, But then when things get like this and there's sort of so much uncertainty, it's like, I'm good when I know what steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like right now we just have to live in step 1 and none of us can actually plan for step 2, 3, and 4. And that's always a hard place for me to occupy. So like, with all of that, I'm just kind of like, we're here like as a unit and just sort of really focused on like Winona. It's like, it's a handful to take care of like a toddler who's kind of running around the apartment all the time as well. You know what I mean? And it is hard to like go for walks and stuff because it's like, you're in an apartment building. It's like, dude, do you want to get in the elevator? And all of those sort of anxieties play into it, but you just have to sort of like press forward and keep a positive attitude and all of that stuff. But I try to jump in and be social with the guys. Like in general, like that house party on Friday night when we all jumped in. But again, being in an apartment, like Winona's one room over. So it's not like I can crack a beer and like even jump in on the conversation too much. Cause it's like when 5 guys are talking, you have to sort of like be able to talk loud. And you can't even in this situation where everyone else is kind of like in their study or their office or whatever in their houses. So yeah, I've just been really sort of focused on hanging in with Danica and Winnie and sort of family time, man, and trying to stay mentally healthy and all that. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are trying to get through this thing.
Hey, how are you handling the elevator situation? Like if you go in and someone else comes in, do you guys just go on the complete opposite side of the elevator?
Yeah, pretty much. And people have been good about like if there's 2 in, like you get to a floor, the third person usually won't get in. Like they'll wait for the next elevator. Yeah, like people are abiding by the rules, like people understand the reality of the situation. This building too, they're like literally there's always somebody in like some sort of, protective outfit that's cleaning things constantly. So that's a measure of sort of like comfort. But to be honest, we rarely rarely go out. It's like mostly just in the apartment and kind of, paying attention to things. But yeah, I certainly am like, when I'm watching all the Champagne Boys in their houses, I'm like, oh man, this seemed like such a good idea to live downtown close to work. And now it's like, I didn't expect there to be the global pandemic. And, and now I'm like, damn it, I should have stayed in Hamilton and did the commute.
Yeah, I'm sure, Shane wasn't, I'm sure Shane was jealous of you for the last, 2 years.
Now how the tables have turned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always seems so clever until there's a global pandemic.
I kind of saw this coming, to be honest. Of kidding, of course.
You did. You planned for everything, though. You're very smart that way.
Also, something I didn't see coming is I weighed myself the other day because, as Ash probably knows, I've left my weight scale in her office because the last time we weighed each other, we went out. So I've been kind of thinking, in this last week, I've probably gained weight. And then I did a house swap with my in-laws for Alex's birthday because Alex wanted to have a bath in their nice big tub for her birthday. But I stepped on their scale, and I'm the same weight Max was when he started the weight loss challenge. So I've lost 14 pounds.
Okay, hold on a second, though. We've agreed that your scale is also kind of fucked up. It's very... it's not the same as my scale. Like my scale was like 7 pounds lighter than your scale. Like when I weighed myself, like on the same day, I think, or maybe 5 pounds. So do we know what kind of scale they're using?
John said he just bought it, and he said it's extremely accurate. Just let me have this moment, Max. The scale said I'm 185. I need this moment. I'm 185.
Okay, never mind. I'm sure you're 185, buddy. That's great. That's awesome.
I would expect a better reaction, but okay.
I've definitely dropped weight on this run for sure. Oh. Yeah.
What's your key? Panic?
Well, two things. Extreme anxiety. Yeah, exactly. My body's always in a state of flex. I've almost broken my back molars from grinding my teeth. Yeah, that whole thing. That is one. Two, I honestly, I think I just eat like shit at work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Shane, you sit next to me.
You're a pig.
Lunch is always like something on Queen Street. It's always something on Queen Street. It's like whether it's like, I guess I'll go here, I'll go here. It's a sub or like, it's just like there's a lot of bread. Now I find that like Danica's actually like prepping all these sort of like good, like we're eating like soup, or you know what I mean. We'll have like a healthy amount of pasta, or we'll we'll do like we did like chicken and rice and like a nice salad, and it's like so I'm just kind of naturally eating better than I normally do, and I haven't really been snacking. So yeah, like I've actually sort of I've dropped weight as well, but I would say mostly the stress more so than the actual diet. But the diet is helping, and I'm just not eating as much as I did at work.
This pandemic is doing wonders for our weight loss challenge. Like, honestly, we should have started the weight loss challenge like a little closer to the pandemic.
I know, it's almost cheating, right? Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you're right. Like, I've been eating, obviously, we're all eating at home a lot, cooking really healthy stuff. We're doing these sort of daily workouts. Like on YouTube, we put them up on the TV, and I feel like I'm in super good shape. I was thinking about like a lot of musicians right now, and I feel like a lot of musicians are either going to go like 1970s Elvis during this period or like 84 Springsteen. Like people are either going to get like kind of round because they've just been sitting around not doing anything and just snacking and drinking beer a lot at home, or the people are going to get ripped. And I'm hoping I get ripped like 1984 Springsteen. So that's what I'm aiming for right now.
You can do it, Max. I have faith.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Was that an Elvis callback there?
I think it must have been. Any callback or pun or anything has always been subconscious. And Shane, you've talked about how most people, they do subconscious puns all the time.
I'm noticing it everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Erica, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting a little bored and tired of being inside. I was going to ask you guys for advice because my whole family was out of the country last week, so they're self-quarantining for 14 days. So because of this, I've had my mom's car for the week, and I'm going to have it for next week and stuff too. I mean, not that I'm really going anywhere. I'm sort of just going to the grocery store and back, but I've kind of fucked up her car. Like, I got this giant chip in the windshield, which, like, that's obviously not my fault. But then I also, like, smashed the rearview mirror. I haven't told her yet, and I don't know, like, if she'll give me, like, you know, like, quarantine sympathy or what, or should I go just try and get it fixed before I bring it back to her? Like, what should I do?
Yeah, I wouldn't try to get it fixed. I think that she's got bigger fish to fry. The whole world is scared about so many other things. Just tell her, you know, you were in a little bit of a panic. You were worried. You weren't yourself, and you know, things happen. I think she'll understand.
Yeah, so I smashed it because I was coming into my garage going backwards, and my garage is very tight. That's how it smashed. And before I left, she even told me, Erica, make sure you click the button to bring the rearview mirrors in so they don't smash. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I'll have to tell her, but I'm going to put it off for a few more days.
Yeah, I think this is a good time for bad news.
Like Shane said, I think if there's any time to like, yeah, if there's any time that you could like, you know, break out bad news and people are going to be like, I'm just happy that you're safe and healthy.
True,
This
that's
is
a
the
good
time.
call. Yeah, I hope she doesn't mind. I don't think she will. They have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I really think we're in this new the society just feels so much different. Ashley just texted me hashtag pandemic sympathy.
Yeah.
And I feel like nobody's getting really canceled these days either. Have you noticed that? Like there's nobody's getting canceled. And I think that's kind of a sign that, you know, people are just focused on the bigger things. So it's like your mom's not going to get that mad at you because you busted the car, because she's just like happy you're healthy and doing okay, right? So there is I think we're seeing the world through an entirely different lens now, which is kind of interesting.
I'm very fascinated because we are in like this time now where it's like the jello is still, we don't really know how to act socially. Like sort of we're all inside, we're sort of only interacting online. And so like when you say nobody's getting canceled, it's like we don't know how to do anything. Like there's no sports right now. We can't interact. We can't congregate in the places that we normally do. We sort of have like 60 years of behavior that we've built up since the last like major war that affected North America. We're all such summer children. We don't know what to do in times of like sacrifice and real fear. You know, the way that everything's locked down and the way that we do, all of the social norms are gone.
Let's get into topics right now. This is we have some things on the agenda here.
Yeah, and I think in general too, you know, a lot of people reached out to our Instagram DMs and stuff like that. It's like we're all scared. I'm sure that a lot of people listening to this are very scared, but I mean, I wouldn't even call us broadcasters or entertainers or whatever. We're just a bunch of friends that like to get together and do a podcast. And, you know, one of our sort of like mission statements for this episode and hopefully going forward during this time is to just be entertaining and light, because you can spend the other, you know, 23 hours of a day, and Lord knows that I certainly have spent a lot of them, worrying about things. So right now, let's try and have some fun.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much serious shit that we can access like the other 23 hours of the day. But I've actually had an amazing time listening to Conan O'Brien's last podcast when he had Will Arnett on.
So
and
good.
Also like the emergency podcast he did on the weekend. Oh my goodness. So it's just like these little lights over the course of a day can really keep you going. So let's talk about goofy shit, because I think that's probably our best public service right now. Yeah.
Okay, so topic number 1 is this viral Imagine video that Gal Gadot started. I'm sure everybody's seen it. She, you know, reached out to a bunch of her celebrity friends, and they sang John Lennon's Imagine. Sort of I don't know if they all sang the full, like, you know, 3 minutes into their phone, and then somebody edited together the sort of the mashup. But it went out there, it went viral, and it seemed that people immediately were like, what the fuck is this? Why do you think for something that seemed like it was meant to be soothing and comforting and say, hey, we're all in this together, why have people pushed back so hard against the gesture?
What I think bothered a lot of people, it seemed like Gal was pretty thirsty to go viral. And when you try so hard, there's something lame about it. Whereas I don't think the trumpet guy in Italy was like, this is going to be sweet once it gets 20 million views. He was just doing it to be a sweetheart, and it was organic, whereas this feels so contrived that it's hard to have your heart warmed by it.
I totally agree with you, Shane. Another thing that I was thinking about is like when she sends out the text messages to her other rich and famous celebrity friends. I wonder who goes, oh, okay, I guess I got to do it. Gal's a friend, and she's a big star. Okay, I guess I'm going to do it. And I wonder who goes, sorry, Gal, just a little tied up right now. And I wonder who like doesn't get back to her at all, because I just think that like for someone like Sarah Silverman or Will Ferrell, who normally would be like, have a pretty good feel for what's lame and what's actually funny and what's actually heartfelt. Whereas like Gal Gadot, I don't know if she totally has that in her skill set, clearly. It's like, I wonder who is kicking themselves right now going, fuck, I knew this was a stupid fucking idea. I shouldn't have fucking done it. And now I just look like an idiot. Did you guys see the doc? No, it wasn't a doctor. It was like another version of it where somebody had imposed each celebrity's net worth, like as they were singing their part. So
No, I didn't see that.
Having a great time in their backyard. Like Gal Gadot, it's like 20 million. Sarah Silverman, 8 million. Will Ferrell, 50 million, or whatever it is. So it's just like, I think it's such a good lesson for all celebrities. And they're going to think about this every time they want to do something, quote unquote, heroic, that they're going to be like, okay, is this on any level the imagined thing that Gal Gadot tried to pull off?
No, it's like throw money at supplies, throw money at like, LA County General, anyway, one of the things I was going to say that I think is effective. I did see somebody on Twitter was like, oh, this is really comforting. A bunch of like isolated celebrities in their homes where their mortgages are already paid off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That aren't too concerned about, they're already set up. I think what it is it's like people have more increasingly become very aware of like income inequality or situational inequality. And so like what is meant to be like this moment of like unifying, we're all in this together. I think the masses, people out here who can't get, COVID-19 tests, people who are like scared about their families, people who are scared about their financial futures, they're watching this video and they're just seeing like 12 celebs who are sorted out. They're good. You know what I mean? So they're just like, it's hard to watch that and be like, you know what? That does make me feel a little better. All you do is you go, well, shit. Like they seem pretty happy. Like what? It's a hard thing to reconcile, and I think that's why it misses the mark. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
No, totally. Right now, the only thing that I want to see is are people like shining a light on the heroes that are actually working right now. Like that's truly the only thing I want to see. So celebrity can either say like, I'm donating a bunch of money to, get hospital supplies to my local hospital or to an organization that supports grocery store workers or to food banks, or they can shut the fuck up. Like it's really only those two options. But like anything, it's like it was just so asinine to think that people, hey, can you sing one line of a song? Imagine, like it's so like irrelevant to what's even happening right now. Like it's like, what does that song really even have to do with the virus? It's crazy.
It just sounds like it should have something to do with it, but really it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Max, you said like, when you think about the celebrities like getting the text from Gal Gadot and being like, I probably shouldn't do this, but I don't want to be rude. I am the sort of person that would do it because I didn't want to be rude to Gal Gadot. And then immediately after it went up, they'd be like, God damn it, why did I do that? But I can't say no.
The second you see her intro's so bad. Like she should have done another take. Like she kind of like lost her train of thought. And then she's like, it goes a little something like this. And it was so a non sequitur into the song that anyone who participated in, as they're watching that, they're like, oh shit, I'm a part of this. But if Gal messaged me, I'd be so like, I of course would do it. You'd be so honored that she included you, especially me, who's not that famous.
Yeah, you probably had the same reaction that James Marsden has. He was probably like, sweet, okay.
But James, were you embarrassed by the people who really went for it, like James? Like, what's the cooler move, to kind of be authentic and actually try your hardest, or do the Sarah Silverman thing?
Sarah Silverman played it the right way. Sarah Silverman kind of did it goofy.
She did do it goofy, but like it is a testament to how bad this project is that even Sarah Silverman, who always has a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing going and can take the piss out of herself, even her appearance in it, I go, oh, Sarah Silverman, you should not have fucking done this. Like, how did you think, like, you're smarter than this. You are better than this. And so she could not even, like, charm her way out of it. Same thing with Will Ferrell, for that matter.
Yeah. I don't even think I got as far as Will Ferrell, to be honest.
Yeah.
But another thing I did watch that I thought was very funny was Max, you sent John Mayer did a bit where he basically was like, they asked me to be a part of this, but I thought they meant imagine the Ariana Grande song, not Imagine the John Lennon song. And then he did a cut where it's like all the celebs singing, and then he would insert himself doing the different song. That was hilarious. That was probably one of the best laughs I've had in a long time.
It was so good. John Mayer is actually proving himself to be sort of the perfect guy for this chapter that we're in, because he's really good at talking to the camera. He's like really smart. He's got a great sense of humor. And I was thinking about the celebrities' reactions to the John Mayer video, because he does this thing where he's not quite making fun of them directly. He's kind of making fun of himself, but he is using his platform to talk about this really embarrassing thing one more time. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm those celebrities that were in the original video, I'm like, oh God, can the news cycle please pick up so people stop talking about what fucking idiots we are? But there goes John Mayer bringing it up one more time. And again, yeah, he's not making fun of them, but he is shining a light on it. So do you think the other celebrities in the video were annoyed at John Mayer, or do they think it was funny? Would you guess?
You just got to laugh at it at that point if you're them.
I think you just have to fight fire with fire. And if I was Will Ferrell, I would just release like a statement saying that it wasn't him. Like it was a deep fake or something. Or like have a press conference or something. I think that would be the way to play it.
You know, if Will Ferrell was smart, he'd make a press conference and then he'd donate a bunch of money. Like he'd kind of turn it into a good thing. He'd make it really funny. He'd be like, that wasn't me, or I was drugged, or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like, but I do think this is an important issue, and I'm going to donate $1 million to the LA County Hospital. So I'm profoundly I'm profoundly sorry. I want to apologize, and to make good, here's some money. That's what he should do. The other thing which is kind of interesting right now is that celebrities have a lot more time on their hands, and you just see some of them acting in very strange ways. I know everybody's doing live streams, Arkell's included. Obviously, we're not A-list celebrities, but did you see the Madonna thing of her like kind of dancing around the kitchen in like a crazy way?
Did you not see in the Champagne Boys group that I shared it?
Oh, that was your. Oh no, I didn't see that. Yeah, what did you say about it?
So, maybe I saw a different video, but Madonna released a video of her in like her bathroom, and she's like doing a parody song, I think of Vogue, but it's about fried fish. And then Weird Al Yankovic responded to that and goes, "See, it's not so easy." Did you guys see that? Shane, did you see that in the Champagne Boys group that I put?
Yeah, I clicked it. I did see that you put a Weird Al Yankovic thing up, but when I
you guys know me, I love Weird Al.
But yeah, when I clicked it, it didn't populate. So I guess maybe it was so popular that it crashed or something.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Well, I think the video she posted of her in the bathroom doing the parody song of her own song for fried fish or whatever only had like 16,000 likes. But Weird Al's like, you see, it's not so easy, had like 70,000. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Who have been your favorite live streams so far, guys? Like in terms of just like celebrities or just like personalities doing stuff. Like I'll start and then I'll throw it to you guys. I really loved, obviously, John Mayer. I like the nightly thing he's doing on his Instagram. I'm a sucker for Coldplay. Chris Martin did a live stream. You can watch it. And it was like just 20 minutes of him just like taking a request and playing piano in his house. And because he's charming, because he's good at talking to the camera, he's good at interacting, he does his Chris Martin thing. I thought that was awesome. And Jimmy Kimmel had the Killers on, the late night show. I don't know if you saw this. Sorry, the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And they did their new single, Caution, but in the bathroom. And so it's just basically Brandon playing a little keyboard, a drum beat, and like an electronic drum beat, and their drummer Ronnie playing guitar. And I was like, man, they fucking killed it. And the song sounded kind of better than ever in this stripped down form. And they totally made it work. So shouts to everybody out there who's like making the most of it. And it's interesting to see like which people can really thrive in this situation, and you know which celebrities like kind of, you know, this sort of interacting isn't quite their sweet spot. Shane, who do you like right now?
I haven't been watching any of them. So what I normally do when somebody's live streaming is I click it for 10 seconds, get bored, and shut it off. I don't know why. I'm always curious of what they're doing, but then instantly I'm like, I shouldn't be here. And I just get out of it. And I also find...
I shouldn't be
Well, I'm just
here.
like, this isn't for me. I don't give a shit. But I'm also finding I'm super busy in this time period. And I thought this would be a time where I'm getting a lot of stuff done around the house or whatever. But I found with work, it was almost twice as busy as it would normally be. And then I was doing so many other side projects around the house, like just for like my wife's blog, that I just don't have the time. It doesn't seem like there's enough hours in the day right now. And I didn't think this would be the case. But yeah, I don't have time to really like watch internet videos or even TV.
Mike?
I'm actually in the same boat as Shane. I haven't really been watching a lot of stuff. I kind of was like, I feel like it's taken me sort of the week to even feel what this is all about. Like I think that first week was very, concerning, and I was reading a lot, and the news is obviously very harrowing and frightening. And then so I found I was like I couldn't even enjoy the more frivolous things. I saw Chris Martin, dude. Like Shane said, I watched maybe 15 seconds. I was like, oh, this is cool, but I was like, I'm not in that space yet to like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just the way that I sort of operate. Like to enable for me to enjoy like anything where it's like whether it's like basketball or like a movie or like drinks with friends, I need to be in a good place. Emotionally in order to enjoy the more frivolous things in life. And I think that's what's been so weird and difficult for me during this time is I can't get to that place. I almost need to get to 2 weeks from now and it's the new normal. And then I can start to enjoy all these things that Max, like you're sort of mentioning. Like I'm mostly just concerned about like my kid and my family and things of that nature. So I find it very difficult to enjoy sort of like the more silly things. But as every day passes, I get more and more, I feel more and more like myself. And then I feel like I'm, I watched the latest episode of Picard and that took me a while to do that. And it's like, so I'm actually looking forward to the point where it's like, I'm going to watch, that 25 minutes of Chris Martin's live stream. Cause I'm down to see him play a bunch of his hits on the piano and talk to the camera. I just haven't been able to like do it. I mostly just kind of like, I'm trying to play with my daughter and hang out with Dan and just try to be like present as much as I can, even though everything's going on. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a great answer where I'm like, oh, there's this awesome channel with a bunch of cats playing. But that's kind of how I've been like consuming and that the answer is not that much. But I think as the further it goes and the more comfortable we all get with the new reality, then I'll start to get back on the old, the internet and start laughing at shit. Like I said, that thing that you sent, Maxie, of John Mayer doing the celebrity singing, that's probably the hardest I've laughed like in a full week, and it felt good.
That's good. Erica, what about you? What's keeping you happy?
Yeah, I feel like every time I open Instagram, there's like 5 to 10 people going live, so it's kind of hard to keep up, but I actually started listening to this week, and I've been meaning to really listen to this podcast for a long, long time. I'm really late to the game, but Reply All, so good. I'm just catching up on that now, and it's like really, I love it. It's a really good podcast. I've been listening to that a lot.
Pod recommendation. Yeah, I think did I mention on the last podcast, or I might have mentioned on our live stream, but yeah, there was a episode, the most recent one, or the second most recent one, is called The Case of the Missing Hit from Reply All, and it's very, very good. So if you are looking for a feel-good story, listen to Reply All, Case of the Missing Hit. Okay, let's get on the next topic.
All right, moving on to the next topic. We had delightful surprises. Which leaders or celebs have come out and impressed you so far? Who surprised you? People that might have stepped up. Max, you'd mentioned in our little text group here that a lot of people are sort of impressed with Doug Ford, who has been a politician that's been maligned a lot by certain members of the media, and at times we've had a giggle on this pod about Doug Ford. But yeah, Max, what did you think about Doug Ford and what people are saying about him?
Yeah, no, I mean, usually I get a lot of my politics from our friend Dan Hamilton, and Dan Hamilton really hates Doug Ford, and probably for good reason. But he said, listen, I got to give credit where credit's due. Doug Ford's actually doing a pretty good thing right now, and I think like the provincial government is like kicking in high gear, and they're trying to help people as best as they can. I think Trudeau's actually come off really good through this. So obviously it's so unusual with his wife having the illness as well. But I find his press conferences every day to be reassuring. Would you guys agree that you guys like the Trudeau pressers, or just like the way he's acting right now in this sort of like wartime-esque mood in the country?
Well, he always looks pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's funny. Danica and I were even talking about how there's like, they talk about how there's like wartime presidents and peacetime presidents. It's like Trump is the ultimate peacetime president. Like meaning like the minute things get slightly bad, it's like oh, we're fucked, because it's like he doesn't watch the way he handles sort of like whether it's questions about the epidemic, what he's going to do, or the pandemic, what he's going to do, all that stuff. It like there at no point do you feel confidence in the plan going forward. Alternatively, I agree with you, Max. Like watching Trudeau talk, that felt like there was a sense of calmness. There was a sense of like studiousness, like we're going to learn everything we can, but as we learn, it's like here are the resources that we need for our people. Let's get everybody home. It just felt like there was a plan. And that feels good. It's just like, maybe the plan's wrong, maybe it won't work, maybe it won't work. But just in a time like this, you need somebody that says, this is the plan, and projects calm confidence. And it's like, that's kind of all you really want out of your leader in a time like this. And I feel like that is what the PM, that's what Trudeau has done as a Canadian. That's how I felt every time that Danica and I have watched him. And like,
yeah, I agree fully.
Yeah, and it feels, I mean, that's, so I agree with you. I feel like he's very much impressed me, and I'm just like, I'm very proud to be up here and sort of like, there's a sense of calm in a time where there's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, so I'm
What
I'm on board.
about Doug Ford? Because my wife hates Doug Ford. Like, I feel like a lot of people already like Trudeau, so it's not that big of a stretch to say like you're impressed with him right now. But with Doug Ford, my wife kind of hated him, and after he gave his after he spoke, did his speech in his initial press release thing, she was kind of like, wow, is it weird that I think Doug Ford's hot now? And I found that I found that to be a hot take.
The power of a good speech.
Yeah. And then she just took me up to the room and had her way with me. But of course, that's a joke of a little levity in this harrowing time. But what do you guys think of Doug Ford?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't been following what he's done that closely. I just know that Dan Hamilton just is like, dude's doing a pretty good job. And for Dan Hamilton to say that is
so
shocking.
Is this considered better? I'm not up with it either, obviously, but is this considered better than the way he handled the buck of beer thing, or is it on par, or what?
I was going to say, it seems like the difference is like, we've kind of entered this era of like, not carnival barkers, but like these politicians that come in and they're kind of like, they appeal to a certain base, and they're like, buck of beer is a big thing.
Because that's a great deal, right?
It's a great slogan. I don't know how that whole thing worked out. I don't know what
Isn't
happened
it just
there.
You get a beer for a buck?
I don't even know how that gets implemented. Is that like a certain brand? Is it at the liquor store? I don't know what that even means. Like, I just know it was a catchy campaign slogan.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were trying to sell beer for a buck, but a lot of the beer manufacturers were like, we can't actually provide beer for that amount of money, and this is actually not particularly helpful. And the other thing is, it's like, it was sort of a cheap ploy. The critics of the buck of beer and the other things that Doug Ford tried to implement when he first came into office, or like during his campaign, was that it was just like a cheap ploy to win over votes when people who kind of care about things functioning correctly would go, can we not talk about like a buck of beer? Mm-hmm. And can we actually have like a real plan when it comes to like autism education or, social services, like those things. So it's like people were annoyed that that's where he put most of his attention.
So what my point was that, like, essentially when those politicians come along, when a real crisis strikes, like what we're in right now, you go, you're gonna find out, like, okay, like, are they just sort of like a carnival barker that's all about the buck of beer and kind of like, local politics, whatever, or are they going to kind of step up and weirdly show this sense of leadership and calmness? And I think that's what people are so surprised by, is like, for a lot of people on the left or maybe center left who are like, oh, Doug Ford's a clown, he's just there for the press conferences and the headlines, et cetera, et cetera. I think they're like, oh shit, like, he actually kind of has executed a plan, and he's come out and he's displayed a certain level of leadership.
But aren't these guys just reading teleprompters? You know what I mean? Like, do you think he really came up with a plan, or someone much smarter than him in a moment of sheer panic said, you have to do this or else we have no other idea? And he's like, just write the speech and I will dictate it perfectly.
I don't even give a shit. I'm like, I think that's part of like being a good politician, is listening to other people, like actual experts. I think sometimes that's where Trump gets himself into trouble, because it's like, he's so caught up in the partisan issue that it's like maybe the best expert on a certain subject doesn't lean the same way as him politically, so then Trump might dismiss that person. It's like a really good leader's like, I don't care where your politics are, who's the best scientist in the room, who's the best doctor in the room, I don't know, let's get those opinions together and then go forward. So if Doug Ford is listening to people that are actually way smarter than him, they're going to write the speech for him, I'm like, yo, you're being a good, that's what you do.
The job sounds pretty easy in that case. I could do that.
No, that's honestly like, it's true though. Like that's what a good leader does is they assemble an incredible team of people much smarter than them. And they go, okay, what's the issue? Okay, who can give me the answer to this question? And the thing with Trump is that like the only thing he cares about are his ratings and how the economy was doing. So back in the end of January, early February, experts were saying this is a problem, and he didn't listen to them. He just said, okay, I don't want anybody to fuck with my economy, so I'm not going to listen to you. So like he just goes off script all the time because his needs are so surface level and they're so cheap. It's just like, what is going to be the thing that's going to get me through today? And the crazy thing is that strategy basically worked for the first 3.5 years. And as Mike was saying, it's like he's a great peacetime president because he can just like ride out the good news. He can swat away the bad stuff because he just gets on to the next issue day after day. And because there's always a new controversy. But when something like this, something as serious as this with like human lives at stake, it comes knocking at the door, it's like he is so ill prepared to deal with it. And it kind of gets back to this idea I've been thinking a lot about lately. It's like there's this conservative instinct a lot, and you see especially in American politics, where it's like they want small government. They want government not in your lives whatsoever. They think private enterprise, private businesses can kind of sort out the rules. But it's like in times like this, like everybody's looking around going, who is in charge? Who is going to tell us what to do? Like, should restaurants close down? Should beaches close down? And if you have a bunch of people that are in government that don't give a fuck about government, then they're not equipped to tell people what to do because they haven't assembled a good team and they frankly aren't even interested in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what always kind of shocked me about this like anti-government position from Republicans who are like, I'm going to run and my platform is government sucks. And it's just like, why are you even running then? I guess you're just trying to push through private interests agenda. So I just feel like a lot of these politicians are being revealed for like being pretty like ill-suited for the job because like when times like this, when we're in a time like this that really requires a lot of organizational prowess, like they just don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah. Another guy that I really liked, by the way, have you been seeing the PSAs from Loblaws / Shoppers Drug Mart? Galen Weston, like the owner of that company. I thought he's been really good. He looks like a kind of like pretty like distinguished old white guy, and he's one of the richest dudes in Canada. But basically, he's been kind of steering the ship when it comes to all the supplies that are going to grocery stores. And he's just been so reassuring to all Canadians going like, please don't hoard. Our supply chain is really good. Here's the game plan. We're going to pay our workers more. We're going to limit the hours so that we can get them good rest. And we're going to allow seniors to come in first thing in the morning so they're not getting thrashed around in the grocery store. I feel like he's really come out of this as a great leader in a time when people are pretty concerned about where they're finding their food.
Yeah, on a similar note, I can't think of any of the distilleries right now, but a handful of distilleries in the country are not making booze anymore. They're making hand sanitizer because I guess the ingredients are very similar. You just need like an extra 2 ingredients to make hand sanitizer out of vodka or whatever it may be, or gin. So those are also a few industries that are definitely stepping up in the shortness of PPE that the hospitals are seeing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
How much have you guys been drinking in all this? You Mike, you haven't drank at all, really?
I had I'd say on like night number 3, Danica and I drank some wine, got a little bit drunk on wine, and then but that's it. I like I said, like so much about drinking for me is like joyful. Like I'm not a guy that drinks when I'm like sad or depressed. Drinking for me has always been sort of like a social fun pursuit. Like I want to drink with my pals. I want to celebrate something or whatever. Pint after work. Let's talk about movies. It's hard for me to drink in a time like this just because it's like, there's not a lot of joy in it right now. But like I said, I'm sort of waiting, to see how the next week or two unfold, and then maybe I'll be happy to crack a Guinness and get on FaceTime and have a laugh with the boys. How about you, Shani? You been drinking a lot?
Not a lot, no, but sometimes I do find if I am depressed, I can drink my way out of the depression and then feel happy for a little bit. So
no, that won't work. That won't work for me. Not in like a small, like we're in an apartment. Like it's like maybe if I could go out and like sit at a pub with my pals or you know what I mean? Or like Danica and I could go sit in a restaurant and have a drink and really break. It's like, we got the baby sleeping a room away. You got to be quiet. She might wake up. It's like everything about the construct isn't conducive to like
100%. And I'm not recommending
it.
People do that, obviously. I'm just saying that's what works for me. And I'm realizing now my brain is wired a little bit different than a lot of other people. But to answer your question, I had about 5 or 6 beers on Alex's birthday, but she's not drinking at all. And then I woke up and I had a little bit of a headache, so I was regretting it a little bit. And it's not as fun since Alex isn't drinking. We probably would have been drinking quite a bit more if she was able to.
Yeah. What about you, Maxie?
No, I'm in the same boat as you, Mike. Like I love to have a drink with my friends and to be social, and that's like I crave that, just being social, not necessarily the drinking part. But yeah, at home, like I just don't really have any interest in it, which makes me kind of feel better. If I've ever thought, I'm like, am I relying on this too much? And it's really like I have no craving for it at all. It's really more about seeing friends and that being part of like the experience. So I've never been healthier.
Erica, you live with roommates, right?
Yeah, I do. 2 of them.
How are you guys handling like the quarantine thing? Like, is it kind of like the 3 of you all in it together? Are you like limiting are you social distancing? Like, how does that work mechanically?
No, so it's actually kind of not great because I've been working from home since Monday, but they were both in the office all week. So if your roommates are in the office, it's almost like you're in the office too. You know what I mean? Like you're getting exposed to everything they're getting exposed to. But like I said, I have my mom's car, so I've at least been driving them to work every day. So they haven't been on the TTC. But
that's nice of you.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, but we I think their works are implementing work from home this week, so that's good that they'll be home. Although I'm a little worried we might get a little sick of each other, but we'll see how it goes.
When you're driving, do you make them sit in the back?
Like I'm their Uber driver?
Yeah.
No, they sit shotgun with me.
If something really good happened and they wanted a high five, would you give it to them?
Yeah, I would.
Wow.
I would.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. The 3 of them are in it together at this point. Like, if they're going to live together for the duration of however long this lasts, like Erica said, like, I mean, here's what's difficult is there's a lot of people right now that are still required to go into the office. They're still required to go into work. Like Shane, myself, Max, we have jobs where, a little more flexible that way. But there's a lot of people that can't just say, no, I can't go into work, or they can't pay their rent or something like that. So it's like, it is interesting as this thing sort of really starts to shut down, and then the only essential people out there are like health workers, grocery store workers. And who knew, by the way, that like people that worked in grocery stores would end up becoming like frontline workers
crazy.
During a pandemic. Like, shouts to them, man, for keeping this shit running. Like, there's so many people out there actually still doing their work. Like, fuck, honestly, like they're the real heroes, man. It's like, I saw a tweet, I can't remember who tweeted it, but it was like, we've spent so much time in the society sort of like celebrating like, rich people who are like, traders and CEOs and, people that sort of like know how to generate wealth. And like, I get it. Like, money runs the world, and the people that do that have a very valuable skill in like a healthy society that it doesn't have to worry about, things like pandemics or wars. But when it comes down to actually like shit hits the fan, it's like that's when it's like these people are actually doing work, and none of those other fucking guys would ever step foot into like a grocery store and keep working their job and make sure that there's bread on the shelves. Yeah. That's been the real eye opener for us.
My 16-year-old sister works at Sobeys, so when she's done her quarantine, she's going back to work on April 5th, I think. A little spooked for her, but. And actually, my roommate Kate works for Bell Media as well. She works at CTV News in Scarborough. So shout outs to all the media personnel keeping it going.
Yeah, the news is still churning out. People are still out there covering stories and bringing us the news.
Should we get to Shane's surprise to wrap this up?
Let's do it.
Sure. I kind of I tasked my wife with coming up with a story because I was doing some work for her. So I asked her to do some work for me. And I don't know if she's good at this job, like, honestly. So her story that she wants to talk about is, she says they're going to implement, they're going to start arresting people if they break their quarantine. And I was just wondering how you guys felt about that, or she's wondering about that, actually. So is this an interesting story? Is it worth talking about at all?
Let's hit it.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's say that they implement. Let's say that they implement like a form of martial law, like basically where they're like, it's on lockdown, which pretty much Italy's like right now. Like you need to have a reason to be outside, or I think for them it's a fine. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but let's say that it's illegal to be out in the street unless you're going to get groceries or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hey man, like, I don't know, this gets back to Max's thing about people on the right, like not wanting government in their lives, but in some ways, like, it's like if we don't implement certain things, people are just going to kind of do their own thing, which kind of breaks the chain. I don't know. Philosophically, it is weird to me to have like an authoritarian sort of like rule of law that's like you can't leave your home. It's scary. It reminds, it's like something you read in a history book. But practically, it might be something we have to do if people don't fucking like behave themselves and act responsibly, for the greater good of people. What do you guys think?
Well, it's funny. I'm realizing now, just as I was saying this story back, I realized why Alex maybe picked this story, because we went for a walk in the park the other day, and she noticed a bunch of people carrying these big bags, and she thought it was like a news organization going to set up their tripod and their camera and do a story or something in the park about how people feel about walking around. But they ended up pulling out all these brass instruments and started playing like a little bit of a free show. I guess they were trying to do like a Gal Gadot type of Italy type thing. But Alex was so offended that they all had brass instruments and that they were spewing out their spit and saliva everywhere, because brass instruments, like our wind instruments, are kind of dangerous right now. So Alex wanted to call the cops on them. So I think Alex, and I was like, Alex, no, we're not going to call the police. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call 911. I was like, no, they won't do it. But I think Alex is all for this mandate. But I just put two and two together.
I'd say that like so far everybody's been pretty well behaved. Obviously, you're seeing stories from certain corners of the earth, whether it's like in Florida or some beachside town in some far off place that like people are still going about their business like nothing's wrong. That's fucked up, and those people should be fined and arrested. But so far, it feels like everybody in Canada is doing a pretty good job. I mean, obviously,
I don't know, man. I heard there's people in like Bellwoods hanging out. That's what I heard. I could be wrong. I'm not.
There
out
was
in the
people
streets,
hanging out
in Bellwoods.
Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff online, and I'm like, these people think this is what social distancing is, but this isn't it.
Yeah, no, listen, I get there's always going to be dummies, and sure, if we get to a point that we need to police them, then sure. But I think like the majority of people, like just seeing the empty subways, seeing an empty Yonge and Dundas Square on a Friday night, that to me says more than a few dummies doing like hanging out in Trinity Bellwoods Park.
Right.
And I think so far, like I don't think there's too much criticism of the way Canadians have done it. And of course, there's going to be particular instances of idiots, but so far so good.
And do you guys? Do you think that this is going to prove that global warming is a thing, or that is there going to be any scientific positive breakthroughs to come of this, because people are staying at home in such an unheard of way that it's actually going to be able to push the needle forward in that direction?
I saw a story where I don't know if it was a city in China, but essentially since the lockdown, for the first time ever, you can see the city from satellite because the pollution is cleared up.
But do you think this will definitively make all the naysayers who think that global warming is a hoax actually believe it, because there'll be some scientific data to back up the claims?
No, I think there's already scientific data. I think they just want the economic machine to turn back up. Like, I think there's a lot of people just waiting around going like, when is this going to be over so that we can go back to our economy. And honestly, there's validity in that. But a lot of the ways that like the economy churns and makes its money are sometimes antithetical. Like they're not in the best interest of the environment, even though they're in the best interest of maybe making money. So I don't know if those people will all of a sudden be like, you know what, we've learned our lesson, guys. I think they're just gonna be like, how can I make as much money as quick as possible because we're all broke.
But if we're all dead, it's hard to make money too.
Oh, I agree, but I feel like they feel like it's gonna be long after they're dead. Erica, what do you think about the idea of like, say you and your friends were walking over to outside for a walk or even a run, and then you were to get like a fine or arrested for being outside?
Yeah, it seems a little scary, like the fact that the police have that authority. But I mean, I don't know, like if people aren't taking this seriously, like maybe that is the best route,
Yeah, I mean, I think, Shane, to your question, I don't know how much this relates to global warming. Didn't I hear something that this will all fare a little bit better when it gets a little warmer outside because the virus doesn't spread as easily when it's hotter out?
That's proven not to be accurate because in Singapore it's always pretty warm and it's thriving over there.
Okay, well, that aside, okay, so maybe it has something to do with global warming. But I will say, my hope is that people will come to respect government and experts a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the last like 10, 15 years of like this like social media, Instagram age where people don't seem to have any discernible skills, but they just get like rich and famous off of it anyway, and like we've seemed to like forget. And there's a lot of like anti-government people on the conservative side of things that like don't want the government in my life, that kind of thing. But now, we're seeing how important those jobs are. So I hope it's easier to pass legislation moving forward that seems maybe cautious, but we can all point to, it's like, look, we need to do this because we need to be ready for next time, and we need to be prepared next time something like this happens. So that might be a change in the culture, I think.
Right.
All right, well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. What else? Is there anything before we're wrapping here?
Shane, give me a joke.
I don't. It's so awkward and hard to be funny over these because we're not in the same room together. So it really is hard to end on a good funny, But I'm not really a guy who can tell a joke on command. You tell me a joke, Max.
Okay. Well, sorry, fuck this. Let's go. All right, we're bye.